Welcome back to SoCal with Val, where we explore the vibrant people, places, and passions that make Southern California definitely one of a kind. When I first had the opportunity to host this show, one of the very first places that I knew I wanted to feature was the Lido Theater. With its unique history, its unforgettable character, its coastal charm, it's definitely not just a movie theater. It's not a movie house. It's a living piece of Southern California magic. It's definitely an experience. Located in the heart of Newport Beach's Lido Marina Village, this historic gem has recently been restored. Was taken off the market, out of commission for a while, and restored. Took, I think, well over a year. It's been beautifully restored, now blending old Hollywood glamour with a fresh, inviting energy. And who better to guide us through this story than Ines Gandal, the general manager who's helping bring this icon to life again. From themed classics and film society questions and answers to morning coffee and cinema experiences and upcoming TV festivals, Ines is currently curating something truly special for film lovers, art lovers, and the community alike. So let's take our seats, roll up your window if you're driving, turn up your volume, and let's discover the magic of the Lido Theater. Welcome, Ines Gandal.
Thank you so much for having me, Val. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here, and I should tell all of our guests and our listeners and our viewers that when you go to the Lido Theater for any event, Ines is there greeting you, and she's so nice, and she remembers your name. So her background in media, in entertainment, in marketing, and in the arts is certainly catching. Her passion is catching, and she's someone you want to see when you enter the door. So Ines, tell us first of all a little bit about your background. I think you have a master's in entertainment marketing. Exactly what is that? It sounds exciting. Tell us about that.
Thank you for the kind words, first of all. That's so great to hear. I'm glad. And I will say to all of our listeners and viewers, it's a pleasure to have Val walk through the door. She's always smiling. And I would say she's come to at least 85% of the movies we put on. And it's the highlight of my night when she
Oh,
walks through the door. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes, my history is in entertainment communication management. That is what my master's degree is in. I earned my master's and bachelor's from the University of Southern California, which actually brought me to California from Seattle, where I was born and raised. And throughout college, I worked a lot in live performing arts. I worked a lot in the filmed arts. We did a lot of different projects that were managerial, but also entertainment and arts focused, a lot of communication based things. And from there, I've worked as a producer in a number of different arts fields. I have worked at Paramount Pictures. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. I just didn't love the commute from Newport to LA.
I can
That
get
was
that. Yep.
that was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And since living in Newport, this has just been the next logical step. I hadn't been here since it had been opened, and once it did, I was very, very excited to be a part of the team.
Well, I'm sure they're glad to have you. So, in going through that experience and getting your education, what did you hope you would become? What was your vision? What was your dream job?
That's a great question. I have a number of dream jobs. I think you can find that among a lot of creative artistic people. I like to think of myself as uh, going through different phases rather than one single dream job. But when I look at what I'm doing now, it is definitely a dream job. I joke with people and I say, I get paid to watch movies. I get
Yeah.
paid to eat popcorn and watch some incredible movies in one of the most beautiful theaters I have ever had the pleasure of being in, much less hosted other people in. So it's truly a dream job, you could say.
And were you involved during the rehab process?
Good question. I was not. So, talking through
They
that a
call
little
it a
bit.
remodel or rehab. It's a refreshing kind of
Yeah, a restoration,
restoration is
which
a
the
great.
language is only picky because a restoration refers to restoring something to the way it once was or used to be. So the Lido Theater has changed hands many times over its over 85 years story past, and we have recently reopened it in October under new management, and we're the current operators and the landlords, Fritz Duda Company, were the ones overseeing the restoration.
And I know it took a while, and many of us would go to Starbucks and we'd try to peek in, and guys would come out and we'd say, "What are you doing in there?" "Oh, we don't know, we don't know," and everybody had their own job. So,
Exactly.
so what drew, well, let's talk a little bit more about the theater. So when many of us think about the Lido Theater, although we weren't there at the time, we hear one thing, and that's about how Betty Davis was a part of that. So tell us about that.
So Betty Davis lived in Corona del Mar in CDM, not too far, and so the legend goes, I don't know if anyone really knows for sure, but she was walking by the theater, seeing it being built in the late 1930s, and said, "You better open with my picture," which her next picture was Jezebel. And it did. The night it opened, October 27th, 1939. It opened with Jezebel. And during construction, she also said, "Well, you should have a parlor room, a sitting room, a smoking room, a fainting room." It has many different names.
Oh, is that right? I haven't heard the fainting room.
Yes, in the women's room, which is actually still there today. It's been beautifully restored. So if you go in there now, the women's restroom, when you enter on the left, it has a little sitting parlor, which was very stereotypical of the late 1930s and on, where you would go and powder your noses and have a smoke and chit chat with your girlfriends in between the movies or before or after. It was a very common social aspect. And that restroom, actually, during the restoration, they chose feathered wallpaper because Betty Davis wore a lot of feathers in her
Oh, that's
costume.
the story.
Yeah, so that's why the
Um,
wallpaper in that bathroom is different than the rest of the bathrooms. And the tile, I could go on about the history and what's original and what's not, but the tile in that restroom is also entirely original. So if you go in there, it really is like stepping back in time.
so it's some of the things there are original from the original theater.
There's a lot actually in the theater. That's a great question. The ticket booth is all original. The exterior is pretty much entirely original, including the floral detailed cornices on the outside. The marquee is original. The Lido sign that lights up, the iconic sign, you can actually see it from certain angles if you're flying in or out of John Wayne Airport. That is original. The terrazzo is entirely original. All the wood that you see in the lobby, such as the crown molding, the pillars, and all but two of the doors are entirely original. So the big heavy double doors on either side of the lobby to get into the theater, those are entirely original. The staircase, the main layout of the theater is original. The wall paintings have been restored as what they were originally. So they had been covered and changed over the years, but the restorators, the Fritz Duda Company, took special photography and they did months, maybe years of research and looking back and in the annals of where the Lido has been in the last 85 years to capture exactly what the beautiful wall paintings would have been in 1939. The little window boxes on the side of the stage actually is a really fun story. Nobody knew they were there. None of the current owners knew that the little window boxes on the side of the screen were there until they were restoring the theater and they found big holes in the foundation. And so they decided to reincorporate it. But if you went to the theater in the last, before it opened 5 years ago, or before it closed 5 years ago, in the most recent history, you wouldn't have seen those because they were completely boarded up. So they revitalized those, put curtains behind them, added a bit of lighting, and now it makes it feel much more grand. It's a really, really nice touch.
What incredible and so exciting it must be to be a part of history, especially in our area. Really, we don't, things on our part of the country aren't really that old, right?
Right,
As a general rule, not compared to if you live in Rhode Island or Boston, or
right.
Connecticut, or, Martha's Vineyard, right? I mean, some of those things, they're really from the beginning of our country. And so here to be able to find something with that history is really must be fun to be a part of it. And I'm sure with your passion for the arts and for really unique experiences, you must love being there.
Absolutely.
So tell me when they came to you and presented this opportunity, were you looking for this or did someone discover you? I think you were at Mulan, is that true?
That's a great question. Yes, I was actually working at Moulin. I was working sort of under the manager over there, and I was I speak French fluently, which was why I worked well at Moulin. My family is French on my mother's side. And a woman came in one day asking for someone to give her French classes. And I said, well, I can give you conversational French classes. So every
Well,
week,
really?
yes, it's such a funny kind of meandering story how I ended up here. But every week I would meet up with her because she was going on a trip to Paris, and we would talk about conversational French and what you'll use when you get there, how to order a coffee and get directions, right versus left,
Oh
all the
gosh.
basics.
Oh,
And she was so wonderful. And one day she asked me, "Well, what do you really want to do? I'm not sure if you want to stay here forever." And I said, "Well, I love the arts. I have a master's in entertainment management, and I love live theater. I love film. I love performing. I've worked in opera. I've done dance, all the different things. So, anything to be back in the arts and entertainment sphere would really just light up my soul." And she said, well, I have a friend who's working on reopening a theater, and maybe he needs some help or something. Let me see. And our friend was one Fritz Duda of the Fritz Duda Company.
okay.
So she put me in touch with him. And he said, well, we're the landlords, but we will not be the operators. Why don't I put you in touch with McG, who is the current operator? If you're not familiar, he is a Hollywood director and producer, a number of fabulous films. He worked in music videos for a very long time, a native to this area. And the Lido Theater is his passion project, you could say.
Yes.
So I met with him and we immediately clicked. We discussed the theater. He took me on a tour and we talked about his vision and how I can completely see that coming to life. And it was a natural fit.
That's amazing. And it's incredible how things like that happen in life, isn't it? You just
So funny.
never know.
I was not looking at all, but the right things just get put in your path at the right time.
And if you had not been there at that time and you had not responded, if you had thought, oh, I don't really want to do that, right? This opportunity wouldn't be for you. So it's
Very true.
just an example of responding to opportunities, being open to opportunities, right? You never know. There's so many things in my life that had I not been in that place at that time, right?
Mhm. And taking the leap and just saying, the theater was closed at the time. I had no idea what it was going to be, and I had never met McG before. I wasn't familiar with his work, so it was very much a leap of faith and just kind of trusting your gut in that sense.
And then isn't there another group? I thought there was maybe the people connected with the A restaurant, are they a part
Yes.
of this also?
Yes, so McG is a majority shareholder in River Jetty Restaurant Group. So
That's
he
that's the
works very closely with all of the A restaurants, PCH, CDM, A Market, which is just just a jump skipping away from us. And so they're also very heavily and wonderfully involved in the programming of the theater and the structure of the theater and kind of the operations and how we move through.
It's interesting because again, when thinking of this program, when it was first brought to me, I thought, well, I need to do some vacation rentals. I need to do the Lido Theater, and actually, the A Market and A Restaurant really is also very iconic.
Yes.
Um, and
It's the
one of
oldest restaurant in Newport Beach.
is it so there you go. And of all the places in Orange County, there are some, but certainly those really are. And of course, Wilma's on
Hmm.
the Balboa Island,
Very
a
much.
few others that have been around for so long. So
We
we'll have to,
actually, oh, excuse me, we actually have in the theater a print of the newspaper from the day that the Lido Theater opened. If you ever stop by, take a look at that newspaper. It's really fun. You can read all the little details, but one of them says, The Arches Restaurant congratulates the Lido Theater. And the Arches is what is now A. So they took the A and kept that. So A is the Arches.
that's fascinating. I haven't seen that. Is it in the lobby?
It's in the lobby on your left-hand side, right before the stairs.
Oh, okay. So I'll have to go over there and look at it.
To those of us listening, I'm making the lobby sound very large. I promise you it's very small and you won't be lost. It's the restrooms and the lobby and all that.
Yeah, yeah, it's me. So the restoration is stunning. When he took you through it, was it started? What
Yes, trying to
Now,
think.
what stage was it in when you first saw it?
I believe we toured in September of 2024, maybe late August, and we reopened in October. And the restoration finished that summer, 2024. So it was in its completed stages, different than it is now. We've made some just minor tweaks, such as, adding in a different soda machine, adding in this kind of, just little tiny differences, but it's exactly pretty much the way it is when you go see it now. So it was completely finished.
So the vibe when you go into it now is pretty much the same as it was in the early days,
Exactly.
right?
Yes, we actually have photos in the ticket booth that show what the outside of the theater looked like in the 1930s. And on opening day, it's very, very interesting. The lobby was a little bit different. They didn't have as large a concession stand. There was only one restroom downstairs and one restroom upstairs. So the gentleman had to go up the stairs to use the restroom. So that's been changed. And it actually had a lot more seats. So wait, now we have a little over 500 seats, including the downstairs level and the balcony. But when it opened, it had over 700 seats. So you have to think, add on another balcony worth of seating, and they would have all been crammed in there.
And is that where the other seating was? Was there an additional balcony?
The stage actually was a lot smaller for one. It was minimal. It wasn't really meant to be used as a stage. Nowadays, we have performances on there, we have speaker series, we're adding comedians to our lineup, we have concerts, but it was very skinny, barely meant to be used as a stage at all. And the seats had a much shorter pitch. So the space between your knees and the person in front of you would have been much shorter. So they had more room in the front and then more room throughout because the seats were smaller and closer together.
Okay, but 200 seats difference, that's a lot.
It is a lot. I try to picture it, and it sounds like leg cramps waiting to happen.
Yeah, yes, definitely. But now you have to provide different things, for people to be able to navigate with. My mom comes with a wheelchair or her walker and so forth, so you're required to do that. And we certainly could take a minute here to do a commercial for the lobby. I'll say from personal experience, you have one popcorn, which is really, if you can see theater popcorn being healthy, I think it's the healthiest version of theater popcorn I've ever had. And the concessions are somewhat limited, but you have what you need. You have red vines and those kind of things and some drinks. And how is all that determined, especially from a restaurateur?
Good question. So, yes, we do serve popcorn. Delicious, healthy, but delicious, I will say.
Oh, I have to have some every time, definitely.
Buttered and salted, and it's quite nice. When you go in, like I mentioned, the lobby isn't that large, and we do have a seating capacity of 500. So when you think about 500 people over 45 minutes getting popcorn, soda, candy, you have to think about your efficiency at the end of the day. So what can we serve people that will allow them to enjoy their movie, that will also allow us to be able to serve everybody. So popcorn is an absolute must. And then
Absolutely.
we have all the classic sodas, and we have bottles of water, and we have candy. And we recently added charcuterie boxes to our lineup. So those are catered by A Market. It's like a 6 by 5 inch little box with various cheeses, meats, fresh fruit, dried fruit, crackers, fig spread. It's actually a quite nice accompaniment if you need just a little bit more of a snack for your meal.
Or you need a meal because you're running from work or running from somewhere
Exactly.
else and haven't had a chance to have dinner. Well, that's nice. We haven't discovered that yet. But I'm sure we will on our coming visit, and we'll be at the TV Fest pretty soon, hopefully. So how do you select? I'm sure everyone wants to know with a theater that's unique like this. So describe for our viewers and our listeners, what is your theater? What kind of movies do you have? What's your itinerary? What's your schedule? What do you do at a theater that doesn't do big run movies?
Great question. So we do a lot of pre-released movies, movies that have already come out that maybe people didn't get a chance to see on the big screen, or they're the kinds of movies that you need to see on the big screen. We have had different series. I like to curate themed weeks or even themed months. For example, we just wrapped up our Gangster Week. We had The Godfather, Goodfellas, and Scarface. We did an Audrey Hepburn week with
It
Roman
was beautiful.
Holiday,
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Sabrina, and Breakfast at Tiffany's. That was
Yes,
a very fun week.
it was-
Very different than the Gangster Week, I will say. All of April, we did our 80s month. So we
yes.
had movies like The Goonies and The Princess Bride. It was a lot of fun. And we did a Star Wars run. We did the original trilogy leading up to May the 4th, which is casually known as Star Wars Day.
Yes, yes. And for Cinco de Mayo,
We had the Three Amigos, which was we had margaritas served at the concessions counter, which is pretty rare. We are technically a dry theater, but sometimes we'll bring in a bit of alcohol for special occasions or private events. And that will change in the future. We will have alcohol, so hoping to add that in the next year or so. But we also had tacos available that night, and
good,
that was
yes.
a great night.
It was really fun. So for again, for the people who can't see, in outside the theater, but inside, there's a little small fence around the main ticket booth outside. And in that area was contained, and there were tacos served there and all the things that go on tacos.
Mhm.
And then there were margaritas inside, and so everybody socialized outside. The food was amazing. The ambiance was great. And then to go inside and grab some popcorn if you wanted it, which we always do, and watch the Three Amigos. And it was so fun. Just a really fun, unique way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Well, I'm glad you came. Thanks so much.
We did, yeah. And we always like to meet other people because it's a small enough group that you get to be around other people and meet them,
Very much
hopefully,
so.
and
It's
make
a
a few
center.
community friends. So,
Exactly.
so how do you decide going forward? What do you have a committee? Are you on the committee? Or who gets to finally make those decisions?
Great question. So, I start with a lot of research. So, I look into movies that come out over the summer that do really well. I look at movies that are high grossing both in theaters and at home, movies that do well on streaming, movies that have recently been taken off streaming, movies that might have a sequel coming up or an anniversary coming up. And then we do a lot of market research. So, people come into the theater and say, "Oh, I really wish you would play such and such." Oh, well, we'll take that under advisement. And we write that down every time you make a suggestion. Across social media, we get so many suggestions. We recently put out a post asking folks what they would love to see. And we compile this all into a big list, and I kind of take a look at what can slot into which days are most successful. I'm going to show a better movie on Friday and Saturday than maybe a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and thinking about that. And then I grab a big list, put all the dates in. I run it by my colleagues at the A restaurants, Matt Hardiman. He's absolutely wonderful, delight to work with, and he works with me on so many great things. We talk about programming and private events and a lot of other things, but we kind of discuss that between the two of us. I have one very stereotypical view. I'm a younger white female with no kids, and he's slightly older than me, black male with kids. So we have kind of a varying opinions there. So we get a little bit of a breadth of thought. And he brings up things that I might not have thought of, and I bring up movies he might not have thought of. And between the two of us, we compile a list. We run that by McG. McG takes a look and says, "Oh, I'd really love to play this on that day," or "That's a great choice, but move it to here." He suggests things I'd never thought of. Of course, he works in film, so he has incredible taste and wonderful suggestions all the time. And after we kind of discuss as a team, I go out, license the movies from the studios, and programming is born.
That's it, huh? So tell it, of course, it sounds pretty easy, but I'm sure it's not. So tell us how far in advance do you plan?
We do 1 to 2 months typically.
Okay.
So not too far in advance. We do a lot of private events. So we host folks for things like we've had pre-wedding screenings. Father of the Bride is a really popular one. We've
Oh,
had
fun.
very
So
fun.
so then a family will rent it, the theater,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yeah, so the couple will rent it for like the whole wedding party, maybe the night before the wedding or after the rehearsal dinner. That's a lot of fun. It's funny, every time we get one of those requests, it's always Father of the Bride. That's the only movie they want to show.
Is that right? How
Yeah,
could
but it's a classic. It's fabulous. And then we get things like birthday parties, sometimes for little kids, sometimes a 40th, 50th, 60th birthday party. We had a book signing that just took place in the lobby, which is so beautiful. They had catered charcuterie and wine served, and she was signing her books, Greer Wilder. Uh,
yes, yes, yeah.
that was a lot of fun. We've had corporate speaker types that come in and disseminate information to their team or sales sort of situation. We have a breadth of private rentals, and we want to work with them on availability and when they can come in and host their events. Fridays and Saturdays tend to be the most popular. So if we program too far out, that blocks off a lot of days for folks to come in and celebrate their own times. And after all, we are here for the community, so we love to sort of make space for that. And then things come up, you know. We ended up doing the Top Gun movies because of Val Kilmer's recent passing, and that was sort of an ode to.
Oh, I wondered about that.
Yeah, and we did a Gene Hackman series a couple weeks ago. So, you know, we also don't want to get ahead of ourselves in terms of planning so that we can pivot quickly.
And all of your showings, at least so far, I think, are one night only, correct?
Correct. In the past, they have been. We've only been open for who I want to, what now,
That's
six, 7 months. So we're still in the early phases of figuring out what really works at the Lido. Over the summer, we are going to open up. Greece will be playing for 2 nights. That's
how
going to be
fun.
June 28th
Yeah.
and 29th. So that is a classic. We've got some movies also up on our website as well if you want to take a look for our listeners and viewers. But yeah, mostly one night. So catch it while it's there.
Yeah, and then I think that makes it even a little bit more interesting because you do feel like you need it makes it seem really special. Like, oh, we better go get it while we can. So we look in advance and we tend to buy for nights. Last night something happened, we couldn't come and we're always sorry, but we're mostly sorry. We're sorry we missed the movies and we're sorry we don't get to see you because we know you're right there at the front. And it's an experience. It's just an experience for us. We enjoy it very, very, very much. So so actually, when you go on your calendar, when someone goes and they look at the Lido Theater and it says something is a private event, it really is a private event.
Yes.
Right. That's fascinating because most of the bigger theaters just aren't available for that. And it's not the same intimate feeling. When you come to the Lido Theater, it's all just one location. You aren't going to a big theater and then you're like room number 5. Right.
Exactly.
You get the experience of coming to your venue, which
Yes,
is
we
really
get some people who come in the door and they say, "Where do I go? Where's the theater?" And I said, "It's just one big screen, just
right,
straight through the double
right.
doors on either side." But it is kind of baffling when you think about a one screen movie theater. It's not very common nowadays, but we are the largest single auditorium theater in Orange County by seating. So single screen over 500 seats. We're the largest.
But are there really that many theaters like yours, even in Southern California? I'm sure there must be some in LA, maybe.
In LA, yes, just not that many left over, even in the country. They're dwindling, and movie theaters as a whole are dwindling, which is sad because I love seeing movies in a theater. It really changes the slant. My example is when I watched Breakfast at Tiffany's. I've been watching that movie with my mom since I was a little girl, and I've always loved it. But there were some parts that, you know, the score is kind of funky, and I would think, huh, I wonder what's going on there. Maybe it was just something about it was a 1960s thing, and that's what they did, and I just chalked it up to cultural changes. And when I watched it in the theater with over 100 people, they were laughing at parts that I never realized were funny. And it completely informs and changes how you receive the information of the film. Watching the Avengers movies, for example, is completely different. I remember watching them at home alone, and I just wanted a big crowd to stand up and cheer with me when good things happen, or watching Top Gun and we all applaud when they make it back. It's completely different. And that is something that's different about the Lido Theater that you might not get in a regular movie theater, is that these are movies that a lot of people have seen before. So we know when to clap and we know when to laugh. We know when our favorite parts are coming up and our favorite people. So it creates almost more of a casual environment where it all just feels like a big community, exactly, who comes in and watches and cheers all together. It completely changes. So I love watching movies in the Lido Theater specifically.
And a lot of times there's, just like you said, there's parts of the movie that I'll say, oh, I didn't remember that, right? Roman Holiday. I remembered very little of it.
Mm.
Um, and there was another one we saw recently that I thought, I didn't remember that it ended like that.
Mm.
So, but of course, as you said, a lot of it depends on, I may have seen it, when I was in college or something and just had a different context, right? And now I'm
Mm.
seeing it in a different light.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one movie I wanted to see, which unfortunately we missed, was Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, that was a fun night as well. That was my first time seeing it.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that would be a really fun movie, and
Yeah.
we missed it.
It
My
was.
husband was born and raised in Holland, and so he didn't see a lot of the movies that I've seen. So for some of them, he wasn't so into Audrey Hepburn at that time when I was. And Mamma Mia, you showed. How was that for Mother's Day? What a
Mamma
great
Mia
movie
was
for Mother's Day.
Yes, Mamma Mia was actually our biggest night since Christmas. It was
Really?
our most successful evening. We had a fabulous turnout, and it was so fun to see the mom groups, the families come in, the mom and daughter groups. It's always fun
Yeah.
because, as Val mentioned, I run the door, so I check everybody in. I love meeting all the guests as they come in, and so it's fun to kind of see who's coming in on what particular nights and what films strike a chord with which audiences. And Mamma Mia did so well that we'll actually be bringing it back this summer as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, and we didn't get to come to that. It sounds like I'm come to fewer than or don't come to more than I come to, but that's not true. We do come to a lot of them. So from Star Wars to Audrey Hepburn, what themed movie has surprised you or delighted you the most?
Oh, that is a fabulous question. I love seeing movies that I've never seen before in the theater because since I basically live and work there, it feels like a second home. And I do sit upstairs to kind of watch over downstairs, make sure all is going well. I'm close to the projector room if anything needs to happen. Sometimes I'm sending some quick emails at 9 o'clock at night. Everyone loves to receive those, I'm sure. But it's fun watching movies I've never seen because I can kind of be in this little bubble of my own cozy theater that I know so well now. And I've got, my coworkers are with me. I absolutely love everyone I work with. We've got an
Uh,
incredible team at the Lido. If you ever come and meet our projectionist, Jovan, or are served by any one of our wonderful cast members, you'll see all the big smiles. And I have to say, I'm truly blessed with a wonderful, wonderful team. So I would just have to say anything that is that I've never seen. For example, I'd never seen The Godfather until last night, and it was
oh, really?
fun.
It's what did you think?
Oh, it's fabulous. I understand why. It's completely iconic. It's fun
Yes.
knowing the references to The Godfather and then watching The Godfather and going, oh, that's where that
Oh,
comes
yeah.
from.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any movie? Well, Mamma Mia was a hit. Is there anything that really surprised you, or that you might not have chosen, but you were surprised with the acceptance in the community?
You know, um, I don't think so. I have to say. We showed The Princess Bride in April during our 80s month, and that was one of our biggest nights as well. That was really, really popular, but I am a huge fan of The Princess Bride. I completely love that film, so I understand, but it's always kind of a surprise when things blow up and it's a lovely surprise, a pleasant surprise.
Yes, yes, it was. One of the things that makes this special, actually, I think, is its acceptance and connection with the community. And part of that comes because it is, the type of venue that it is, where it's a small, intimate theater. But have you had any comments from the community, or any memorable moments or comments from anyone who was ever there at the beginning, maybe? Is anyone that nobody's that old, right? Everybody's
When we first opened, I was at the theater a lot right before opening day in October. I was there like 12 hours a day for a few weeks, just getting everything set up. And one Monday morning, I looked over at Woody's, the restaurant, which is across the walkway, and there was a group of gentlemen over there. They ended up coming to talk to me. They were a bit older, and they said, well, I came when I was a little boy in the
Oh,
40s. I came with my dad. And they were all sharing their stories of the history and how they used to come to the Lido. And that was a really, really wonderful moment, especially in those early days for me. It really solidified the idea that I'm just sort of holding space for this beautiful, beautiful community center that has been here for so much longer than I have and will continue to be, hopefully, for so, so many years and serve the community in that sense. That was really a beautiful moment for me.
that is very, very, very special. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So tell us about your relationship with the Orange County Film Society. How does that work? What do you show for them? Are you their host venue of choice now?
We are. So we host the Orange County Film Society, who work in collaboration, are the same company as the Newport Beach Film Festival and the Newport Beach TV Festival. And it's a membership-based society where you pay one membership fee and you're welcome to any of their screenings. They host usually screenings of movies that are yet to come out or have just released. For example, we showed Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning recently for them. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the community to kind of see these movies in unique instances, come to the theater. You don't have to worry about getting tickets. You just get emailed what's coming up and you come watch. For example, they have a double screening of When Harry Met Sally and The Materialists, a new movie coming out. So they do a lot of really fun sort of programming like that.
Tell us how the film festival works. I
Sure.
now the films, is it correct that the TV fest that's coming up is one showing at a time, correct?
Yes. So the TV festival, June 5th to 8th,
Yes.
is the inaugural television festival for the Newport Beach Film Festival. This is the first time they're going to be doing it, and it is entirely hosted at the Lido Theater. So one showing Thursday, one showing Friday, and then a whole bunch across the weekend. But it's going to be stars of current popular TV shows. We're having Kate Hudson from Running Point. We're hosting Adam Brody from Nobody Wants This, the stars from Yellow Jackets, Cobra Kai, having Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, having, I mean,
And from
incredible lineup.
Landman, I saw Landman also.
Yes, Landman, Dan Fogelman will be there, Sam Rockwell from White Lotus. It's going to be really, really wonderful. And a lot of it is live podcasts. So each event is about an hour, and they'll be doing similar to what we're doing now, chatting about the show and the creation. There's some awards panels as well. It's a really, really incredible lineup. And it's going to be really fun for us as the theater and also all the guests that come to be a part of this inaugural television festival.
This is the first time they also have ever done anything like this, correct?
Exactly.
How exciting. I saw the announcement and we, of course, participated. And after being with you, we became members of the Film Society because this is way too much fun. And my husband loves movies. We love foreign films a lot. And so this was just perfect for us. And we can just come and it doesn't take us long to get there. So it's perfect. So having producers and directors and authors come for movie discussions, it adds so much depth. I think that only happens with the Orange County Film Society viewings, correct?
Up until now, yes, but we are in the process of bringing in different people, cast and crew who have worked on films that we will be showing. So for our summer lineup, you never know, you might see someone who worked on the props or worked on the set design or a sound designer or maybe assistant director or an editor or maybe a supporting actor. We'll kind of see where we go with that, but we're definitely hoping to add more Q&As and that kind of a thing to our screenings as well. But yes, the Film Society does a fabulous job of bringing in people related to the film as well when possible.
Any behind the scenes stories you can tell us
About,
about anybody being in the theater and
oh gosh, you know, I met Flava Flav That was sort of never on my bucket list, and I think that would happen at a water polo event screening for the United States Olympic water polo team. So that was kind of fun. He was actually a delight. He did not stop taking photos until every single person who wanted to take photos with him had taken photos. He was decked out in Olympic water polo gear. He had the little
Oh,
hat cap on, and he was actually really, really wonderful with all the guests. I met Phineas O'Connell and his dad last year during the film festival. Actually, didn't talk too much to Phineas, but I talked to his dad, which was a true delight. And it's funny how normal these people are. It's delightful how normal they are. He said, "Oh, Dad, I didn't know you were coming." He said, "Yeah, yeah, I thought I'd just stop by." You know, they live in LA, but it's just it's kind of a pleasure just seeing these people in again in my sort of home space and just walking around the same places that I walk. It really humanizes them, and you say, "We're all the same. We're all just people." So
we
it's a lot
are,
of
we
fun
are,
whenever we have people come through.
we are, we are. So talk about the morning event. What is the morning like at the Lido Theater? I happened to just drive by one day, saw the door was open. I thought, I'm gonna go in and tell our viewers and our listeners what people discover in the mornings.
Well, that's super unique. We are open
Yes.
every day from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., even Saturday and Sunday, as a pop-up cafe. So from 7 to 2, we serve coffee and tea, breakfast pastries such as croissants, cookies, scones, those all catered by A Market. Shelly is the head chef over there. She does a fabulous job of curating our menu. We also have delicious breakfast sandwiches, avocado toast, and salads and chips and popcorn. It's a really fun way to kind of start your morning. People would say, well, that's odd. Why would you need to do that? But we have a lot of older folks in the community who might be retired and they get up early in the morning, they want something to do. You know, maybe you walk to the Lido, you take a little morning stretch, or you're walking by with your kids if you work from home and they have a day off. We show family movies on Saturday and Sunday. That's the other thing. So during the cafe's open hours, we show one movie per day rolling, and entrance is free with any purchase of a brewed coffee or a food item. So you can get your breakfast, sit inside the theater, and watch Kindergarten Cop we played the other day, or Legally Blonde, or on the weekends Toy Story, something fun like that. And it's kept super casual. The morning showings are shown on our Instagram stories, so those are posted the day before. Just
Oh,
very,
I didn't
very
know that.
casual.
I didn't know
Mhm.
that. Okay.
So if you go to Lido Theater Newport Beach on Instagram and check out our Instagram stories, you'll see what's playing for the following day. If you come on a weekend, it'll be more family oriented, but we show fabulous movies there every day, I'd say. And it's a lot of fun. You may not come right when the movie's starting, but you pop in for a little bit, pop out. It's a really nice time for the community.
So you feel like you just need to take a little break or get away a little bit, just pop into the Lido Theater and have a croissant and a coffee, sit down and just take your weight off your shoulders and your mind off of your work and sit and watch a movie for a few minutes. And when you need to,
Exactly.
just get up and leave. Because as she said, it's rolling. So the movie doesn't, where you step in doesn't really matter because it doesn't really start and then it stops. It just keeps going. And so
Yeah.
anytime between 7 and 2 people can come in. So let me ask you a question. So
Mhm.
is your viewership for that families? I mean, I've been there a couple times where I've seen parents and kids there.
It's a myriad. A lot of families, a lot of stay-at-home workers, employees who maybe bring their laptop, who work in the theater. We have a lot of businesses in the area. There's a lot of adorable shops on Lido. So maybe on your lunch break, you come in, sit down, watch 20 minutes of a movie. There's some offices in the area. They'll come get coffee for the office or just grab a pastry if you want to switch it up. There's a lot of fabulous bakeries and cafes in Lido, so we're just adding to the noise there. But you know, it's a little bit different than what everybody does, and it's certainly different than what you might ever see at any other movie theater. And I was actually surprised at how many regulars we get for the cafe. We've got one gentleman, he comes in almost every day, and he is so kind. He loves coming. He grabs a coffee and sits and hangs out. So I love our regulars, including you. They're all fabulous, and it's really the people that come back time and time again that, like you said, I recognize, I remember their names, and it makes the Lido feel more like a community. So it's not just what we do, it's you all coming back and supporting us and showing us that this is a wonderful place to be.
And for the purpose of people who haven't, or for the benefit of people who haven't been there, there are, I think, maybe two bar top tables in the lobby area where people can sit and work on their laptop or just sit and take a little break. So you don't have to stand up or go in and watch a movie. If you're
Yes.
there at the right time, there's space available. And aren't there a few tables outside as well?
Exactly. So we have bistro tables both inside and outside with little bistro chairs. So if you wanted to stop in and have your breakfast outside, you could do that. If you want to step into the lobby and just enjoy our curated playlist of, we have an oldies playlist where we also intersperse old movie songs. So old scores from fabulous films. You can do that, or you can pop into the movie.
Do you have a special, and I would guess this is probably a hard question to answer. Do you have a favorite part of the theater that you really means a lot to you? There's so many details, and you've talked about so much, and there's so much to love from the Betty Davis bathroom and parlor to the little windows that were hidden. But is there something that you go, that's really you?
Well, I'll talk about one of my favorite sort of hidden gems, and then I'll talk about what is really me.
Okay.
So one of my favorite hidden gems is the dumbwaiter. Dumbwaiter is sort of an elevator for non-people, right? And back in the day when the theater opened, they only had film reels. So it was big strips
Oh,
on metal reels usually, and they were really, really heavy. So
oh,
movie theaters developed a system of dumbwaiters. So if you go into
oh.
the Lido, it's actually in our back closet. It's not accessible to guests, but I'll give you sort of an auditory exploration. There is a little door against one of the walls. And if you look straight up inside, it's a shaft that goes right into the projector room. And if you go up 2.5 flights of stairs up into the projector room, which is at the very back, very top of the theater, I call it the little mouse hole. There's the second door. And back in the day, the film studios would send a courier, usually from Hollywood, with 40 pounds of film reels to the theater, and we don't have an elevator or anything like that. So
Yeah.
they would have a separate key. They could unlock the side door and just drop the film reels right into the dumbwaiter, close the door, and head back out on their next deliveries. And when the projectionist would come in before the movie, they would go straight upstairs, unlock the dumbwaiter door, and pulley the system all the way back up. There's even a hole in the wall at the bottom in the projector room for the dumbwaiter to kind of roll, for the projectionist to roll the film strip into the projector room where there used to be film projectors. Now we only have a digital projector, but all the windows, actually, if you ever are in the theater and you look way back up, there's multiple windows in that room, and that used to be for all the different projectors because they all had different film strip sizes. So you had to have multiples of that, and then there are multiple windows in the wall to be able to project onto the screen.
This is fascinating. No one would know unless we heard it directly from you.
It's very
So they really didn't have to even preserve that.
right. It was not in use actually, but they did preserve it. All the past owners of the Lido Theater did preserve it, and you can still open it up and look down. The cables are all cut, but it's still there. If I dropped a Cheeto, you could open your mouth and eat it from downstairs.
Oh, we won't try that.
And now it's just HVAC kind of running through there, so it's a practical sense. But yeah, the doors are still there. And when I hire new cast members to work at the Lido, it's one of my favorite parts of showing them the tour. I say, pop in here and yell down, and the people down below will hear you.
And with all the advancement of technology, I mean, you really never know what that might become.
Very much.
We don't think we would use it, but you never know what you might end up using it for. But then you were going to tell us your part.
Yes, so that's one of my favorite tidbits, but I would say the part that feels the most me is the stage. As corny as that sounds, I grew up in theater. I grew up doing plays from a very young age. I did ballet from the age of 3. I've been singing all my life, so performing is in my blood. And sometimes I'll just sit on stage and type my emails, or getting up there and setting up some things, sweeping the stage. It just sort of there's a certain feeling that I get from being on a stage, and I love that it gets to be in somewhere that I get to call home. It's really beautiful and really, really special.
And we'll ask you something you don't have to answer. But are you ever in there by yourself? I'm gonna even tear up asking this. Are you ever in there by yourself and you're on the stage and you're just thinking, this is kind of my place, and you kind of in your own mind imagine yourself performing there?
I think one of the first times I was there alone, it kind of hit me what I had signed on to, what I had been welcomed into, really, this beautiful gift that had been handed to me. I'm learning more about the theater and what I do there every day. It's a very unique place to be, but the first time I was there all alone, I went up on the stage and I changed the lights so it was just the spotlights and you can't see anyone in the audience. And I pictured, how little Ines would be so proud of where I am now. And I think I teared up as well. It was a very I've made it kind of moment. It was very special.
That's, yes, that is very special. Is there something that you hope, and I'm sure there is, what is it that you hope people walk away with when they've been in your theater and they leave? What do you hope they feel in their heart and their soul about being a part of the Lido Theater experience?
I've had people walk away and say, I had no idea it was going to be like this. And people that say, this is my new favorite date spot.
Oh, sure.
That's my favorite thing. I want people to feel like this is their theater. This is their chance to step back and relive the memories of the past while sharing in the stories that we all watch on the screen. I call our employees cast members and I tell them all during training, we are part of a bigger story, not just the story that we're about to play on screen, but we're part of the storied past of the Lido and the story of our community and how this has touched so many people's lives. And we remember your names, we remember your faces, we say welcome back because we want you to feel like this is your place to come and enjoy as well.
If you could host a dream screening with any special guest, past or present, what film would you show and who would you join for discussion?
Oh, that is a fabulous question, Val. I'm already torn between dozens of different films in my head.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, I We just watched Mamma Mia, and that was so fun. And watching during the credits, the whole cast just hanging out and singing extra songs. I've heard so much lore about that movie and how they filmed it, and the cast seems so connected. I think that would be a fabulous other screening to show. I mean, Meryl Streep is one of my all-time favorite actresses ever, rightfully so. So I think it would be very fun to have her and the entire cast there as well. Maybe the directors talking about what it's like to get that sort of a performance and that sort of a feeling out of a movie because we've shown other movies. I've seen lots of movies there, but something about the energy that night, it was electric. I was up in the last row of the theater dancing on the little staircase, and I was just so excited. There's something about that movie that does, even though people say, oh, it's a lighthearted, it's a feel good, the blending of the
Oh, it's
music
no,
and
it's fun.
acting, it all just comes together. So that is what comes to mind.
I can imagine you on the stage as a part of that.
Thank you.
Yes, let me add there. Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you for holding this piece of history in your hands so well and making it something alive for the community and for all the people in the arts whose movies are a part of that, and the cast members that you've developed and the management team who's blessed all of us with having you there every night, and for your feeling that I know you must feel, you just get to hold this time in your hands and sometimes somebody else will come and take it. They took it and now it's your turn. And what a great feeling. We're so glad to have you here. From golden era glamour, today's curated cinema experiences, the Lido Theater is certainly much more than a building. It's a portal into everything we love about stories, artistry, and community. A huge thank you, Ines Gandal, for giving us a behind the scenes look at what it takes to keep this historic gem shining bright and alive. So whether you're a film buff, a coffee lover, or just someone seeking a little escape, the Lido welcomes you with open doors and a vintage marquee. So we will see you there, hopefully until the next time. Keep exploring SoCal with Val, and thank you, Ines.
Thank you so much.